Hello everyone, exWalkill Bethelite here. And let's just talk a little bit about the reason for getting involved with ex-Jehovah's Witness activism. Or if you are thinking about making videos, you're on the fence and you're thinking about making videos, and there's a good chance you've got people that are telling you not to do it. There's a good chance you got people saying that there's no reason to do it. The reason, one of the reasons, let's start there, not the only reason, one of the reasons to get involved, if you're thinking about getting involved, one of the reasons to make videos, if you're thinking about making videos, is that if we don't tell the story, we don't tell the experience, we don't tell what happens, nobody else will. If former Jehovah's Witnesses didn't expose Watchtower on the internet, it wouldn't have been exposed. The majority of the state that Watchtower is in, the reason, the cause, are people like you and me that decided to do something about it. The reason for that is there are a lot of people. See, we're talking about the reason for former members to get involved. If they're thinking about getting involved. Why? Well, because there's a lot of people who were never members that just don't care that much. They know Watchtower exists. They see the people knocking on the door. And as offensive as some people find this is the honest truth. A lot of people think, oh, they're just dumb. They're just idiots. So they don't give it a whole lot of thought. They don't see it as something important to get involved with. Oh, those people are just dumb. Just let those people do whatever they do because they're just a bunch of idiots. They don't really think of the people that's walking around passing out magazines, knocking on doors in the cold as really intelligent people. Now, granted, I've stated this myself, the act itself isn't the smartest thing in the world, and people who have never been Jehovah's Witnesses, the reason why if we don't get involved, a lot of them will not get involved, is the average person will connect the experience that we had as being inside this cult, being born and raised inside this cult, being deceived by a cult. They compare that to their experience. They're going to say, hey, I was a Baptist. I was born and raised Baptist and I left. What's the big deal? I was born and raised Presbyterian. I was born and raised Pentecostal and I left. And you don't see me making a bunch of videos and talking about it. What's the big deal? I left. And here's the big one. I was Catholic. Now I'm Baptist. Or I was Catholic. Now I'm not anymore. I was Catholic. Now I'm non-denominational. What's the big deal? They compare a person leaving a particular church with their experience, and in their experience, when they left, they didn't lose a lot of friends. They didn't lose a lot of family. They weren't having people die because of suicide and because of blood transfusion. They don't have relatives that haven't spoken to their own kids, or kids that haven't spoken to their own parents in a decade. They don't have situations where people are being molested and the members would rather cover it up because they don't want anybody to think anything bad about Watchtower, or they don't want anybody to think anything bad about Jehovah's Witnesses. So the people would rather just try to shun that person and say, well, you must have did something wrong. Or just ignore it. If it was a kid, oh, brother such and such would never do that. Sister such and such would never do that. They're an elder. They're a servant, ministerial servant. They wouldn't touch a kid inappropriately. We're Jehovah's Witnesses. This could never happen. Or the people that do accept that it happens, they're not going to do anything about it because they don't want to get shunned. One of the reasons that people outside of Jehovah's Witnesses don't flock in droves to stop a lot of this is because they don't fully understand it. And their experience leaving a church, while it may have been hard, wasn't a life-endangering situation where you're leaving everything you know, you're leaving everyone you know. So if you're on the fence and you're thinking about making videos, and you're going to have people say, what's the purpose in making these? Let those people just be those people. Let Watchtower just keep doing whatever it does. One of the reasons why they say that is one, they think that Jehovah's Witnesses are stupid. So they think it's irrelevant. Let Watchtower do what those people, whatever it wants to do with those people, because it's just stupid. And I've been, I've stated it because some of it is. But another reason is they connect it to their experience. And there's some people who even have relatives that were JW, but they weren't. Or they were raised in a household where one relative was a JW and one wasn't. Or they just studied and they didn't get that deep into it. So sometimes even people that have some knowledge of Jehovah's Witnesses and Watchtower, their experience with it isn't the same. We've seen people post comments under our videos and in the Facebook groups and in the internet chat groups. And the people are saying, hey, what you guys say about Watchtower isn't true. These tend to be people who were never members. They're connecting what we say with their experience, and they only studied. So of course they didn't experience nothing but love bombing. Or they had one parent in and one parent out, and it just wasn't that big of a deal in the household. It was something they just didn't talk about. See, people, they don't really understand. And now, is there a interest in cults? Well, yes, there is an interest in cults among people who are never members. But these tend to be cults like Heaven's Gate. Why? Because of the mass suicide. Yeah, people are into mass suicides. They're into the whole Illuminati thing because they're thinking about the child sacrifices. They're not into cults just because they're interested in helping people who have been indoctrinated. They're into cults because of the Jim Jones suicides, Heaven's Gate suicide. They're into big scandals. Tom Cruise was part of Scientology. It's not that a lot of people are interested in cults because they just want to help people who are members. They're into cults because they connect it to things that are big scandals. They connect it to large-scale violence. They connect it to things that, as bad as it is entertaining to put on TV. They connect it to the FLDS, a group of Mormons, FLDS, not Latter-day Saints, a different sect of it, having sex with all these kids. I mean, they're literally marrying kids that I don't know what, 10 years old, maybe younger. This was just a regular practice there, and it was happening in America. There are a lot of people who are not cult members that don't really understand what's going on with it. They have an interest in large scandals, not cults in general. Things that interest them. So they're not fully aware of what goes on before there's a mass suicide. Yeah, once there's a mass suicide, then everybody's interested. Once they find out that the FLDS are marrying 9-year-old little girls and molesting 9-year-old little boys, then they're interested. But ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, people who are former members of cults, cult survivors, whatever you want to call it, we've been working on helping indoctrinated victims. And some of them aren't victims, some of them are just plain stupid, but some of them are victims. We've been working towards helping them before anything like that happens. We're trying to prevent things like that happening. How many people were involved with Heaven's Gate trying to help those people before Apple Marshallite had them kill themselves? How many people were involved with those people in Jonestown trying to help them before Jim Jones had all those people kill themselves? How many people were out there trying to cover and stop all that stuff going on in Waco, Texas, before David Koresh had those people gathered all up in there with all them guns and all that stuff? See, people become interested once people are dead or about to die. We are trying to help people before that happens. So when you have people outside of Watchtower hear about deaths in regards to not accepting medical treatments because of the cult's teaching, a lot of times they just connect it with all those people are just dumb. They're just dumb people doing dumb things. You know what I mean? It's almost like the Church of Christ scientists, if I have the church right, that just taught that people couldn't take any kind of medicine. They couldn't go to the hospital. They couldn't go to the doctor. And people were just dying as a result of it. The average person just marks it up to stupidity. That's just these people's natural state. They're all just dumb. They don't understand that everybody's not dumb. Some people are born and raised there. And then that's where the cutoff is. That's where they say, well, I was born and raised Baptist, and I left. I was born and raised Catholic, and I thought it was dumb, so I just left. Why are these people so freaking, still in there? They don't understand that cults, they don't allow you to have friends outside of the cult. If you were a Baptist, yeah, you were allowed to have friends that weren't Baptist. If you were a Catholic, yeah, you were allowed to have friends that weren't Catholic. They don't understand that cults don't allow people to read anything or have any knowledge of anything outside of the cult. If you're a Baptist, yeah, you were allowed to read books from people that weren't Baptist. If you're a Catholic, yeah, you were allowed to go to college. See, they don't understand, and the people who do understand tend to be people like you and me. So people like you and me, if we didn't exist, Watchtower would go untouched. They would go untouched. One of the biggest, most exposing documents that were ever printed in regards to Watchtower was printed by a former member. Ray Franz, Crisis of Conscience. Everybody got their hands on that book, and it helped a lot of people. So when you think about it, being an ex-Jehovah's Witness is far more meaningful especially if you were a former member and you spend a lot of time being a Jehovah's Witness. Being an ex-Jehovah's Witness is far more meaningful than what you were doing before as a Jehovah's Witness. Knocking on doors, telling people the end of the world was coming. You don't know when. Just walking around, knocking on doors, telling people the end of the world was coming. Shunning people that were having a change of mind about their beliefs. You're not getting involved in any charities. You're not really helping. You weren't really going up against something that was truly evil. As a ex-Jehovah's Witness, you really have a physical, tangible, real evil you are facing. You are going against something that literally is evil. I mean, you can just put Satan, swap that and the whole Satan system concept with Watchtower, the governing body system to destroy the minds, the lives of young men and women, adults. You have people that are in their 70s and 60s, and they'll take their money too. They'll have them driving around, knocking on doors, passing out magazines, standing next to cars too. You have something, a real evil you're going up against, and real help that you're giving, real assistance, real change happened when Ray France wrote that book, Crisis of Conscience. It changed lives. No one thing isn't most likely going to just bring down the whole cult, but as far as changing lives for the better, not doing what we were doing as Jehovah's Witnesses, as in making people or helping people join cults, helping people join things that are going to destroy their family. We're helping people get out of things that's causing depression, causing suicides, because the Jehovah's Witnesses themselves aren't going to do anything. Anthony Morris just went on a liquor buying spree, and it was somebody caught on video and everything, and they don't care. There's an Australian Royal Commission about kids being raped. They don't care. Oh, it just happens everywhere. Any reason to just push it aside, just keep doing what they're doing. The only people on the first lines, the people first in and first out are us. That's what you would be joining. So you would be joining something meaningful. It's not a replacement for a cult. Don't look for a cult replacement. Don't look for something that's going to replace the cult. Don't look to join another cult where you start following people and doing whatever people say. You're joining a movement. You're joining a group of people that are making real change and doing things that are important, because nobody else is going to do it. Nobody else is going to get involved. Well, I shouldn't say nobody, but the primary people involved are going to be former members. Leah Remedy, a former member. That's how she knew about it. The average person just doesn't. So if you're thinking about making videos and you've heard the same thing that I've heard a lot of people here, why do you make those videos? Just leave those people alone. Somebody's going to think that you don't like them. Oh, it takes forever, or it takes up your whole life, and none of that is true. The reason to do it is because you'll be joining a cause that really needs members, really needs people to join it. There's nobody else getting involved. Other causes have a lot of people, as far as feeding the homeless and the sick and things like. There's a lot of people that realize the need for that. There's a lot of people involved. There's a lot of organizations involved. What Watchtower does in going out and victimizing people and taking advantage of people who's in emotionally vulnerable states, they would just go untouched if it wasn't for us and former cult members. And there are some people that care and get involved, but if it wasn't for the base, the foundation of it, which is former cult members, not very many people would. So Watchtower is falling, all this is happening, and a lot of it is because of you and me and the people that are right now thinking, I want to make videos, I want to get involved. So comment down below, let me know what you think. 937-789-4029, exWalkHillBethelite, signing out.